Hi everybody and welcome back to Lost Genre Reddit Stories. This post is from the subreddit Am I Overreacting, and it's by user Throwaway New Feature 1. Am I overreacting? I found lingerie in my wife's suitcase before a work trip and I'm losing my mind. I have been with my wife for 6 years and we've been married for just over 2. From what I am aware, we have a great relationship. We rarely argue, have a healthy sex life, and have discussed having children in the near future. At no stage have I had any reason to believe she would be unfaithful. My wife holds a management position in a tech company and is therefore occasionally away on work trips. I have been with her a few times if it's an opportunity to network or if I want to see a new city, but she usually goes on her own with her colleagues. Now, on Sunday evening, she was packing a small suitcase for a trip the following day. As she was downstairs cooking dinner, I popped upstairs to the bedroom to grab my laptop. The suitcase was open on the bed, which I didn't think much of, but when I walked past, something caught my eye. It was a red lingerie set. It wasn't something I'd consider business attire. It consisted of a small lace red thong with a circular loop at the top with a matching bra. When I did some more digging, I found a black set with another small thong. It immediately sent my heart racing and like a punch to the stomach. My wife doesn't usually wear anything like this. She used to wear lingerie when our relationship and sex was fresh, but she doesn't bother at all these days. Even wearing a thong is incredibly rare, and she would generally only wear plain cotton underwear, which is why this is out of character. She hasn't acted out of the ordinary at all, and that same evening we had a lovely meal and chatted, even if I was admittedly distant because of the situation. She picked up on it and I just put it down to tiredness, which was the same excuse I used when I drove her to the airport yesterday. I haven't been able to get this out of my mind since. I want to give my wife the benefit of the doubt, but the situation just doesn't make sense because I don't know why she would pack lingerie for a 2-day business trip unless she intends for someone to see it. Can anyone help rationalize the situation and tell me if I'm overreacting? I have absolutely nothing else to go off other than some lace underwear, but this is driving me insane. I don't think you're the a-hole, Upi. At a minimum, packing lingerie for a short work trip is sketchy and raises valid questions, so many of them. That kind of move isn't neutral. It definitely signals towards something, and I'm kinda guessing that you're not part of that something. Now, you're not accusing her of anything, you're just noticing a disconnect between her actions and the intimacy in your marriage. And these are actions that put trust on the table, and trust isn't passive, it's built on transparency. And that's why I would not sweep this under the rug, but I also wouldn't go right away in guns blazing. Although I'd still be like 95% sure something's going on here because, just like you said, who takes lingerie to a work trip for no one else to see? But I would still bring it up directly to her. I would explain how you came about it and ask her, why are you taking that? And if she gives you any kind of answer that isn't really an answer, well then you know she's deflecting. And that means there's something being hidden. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments section, and now let's check out the community comments. Yeah, Tusahana says, maybe she wanted to take some pics for you while she was away? I can't tell you for sure whether you're overreacting or not, but this is definitely the best case scenario here. Ask her. And Opie responds, I'd hope that was the case, but she's never done something like that before, and it would be odd for her to do that now. We have a good sex life, but that would be out of character, especially if she's on a work trip. Buffalo Blue Tongue says, should have asked her on the way to the airport. And Opie responds, I thought about it, but she was partaking in an important presentation and I didn't want to throw her or get into an argument or upset before then. Elephantastic says, sometimes women can gain some confidence knowing what she wears underneath her clothes. Even though she's 100% positive no one is gonna see it. I wouldn't be stressing too much if I were you. Did you ask her why she packed it? And Opie responds, I didn't. She had an important presentation and I didn't want to appear accusatory or start a fight before she traveled if it was nothing. I intend to ask her when she's back tomorrow. No Chest 2713 says, I wear lingerie or sexy matching underwear to feel more confident and often wear it on important days and events. Does your wife do this too? Speak to her about it. You're overreacting and running to Reddit rather than communicate with your wife in your great relationship. And Dopey responds, she's never done that before, that I'm aware of. As I said, she doesn't wear and owns about one thong in total and hasn't worn lingerie in years. And Crimson Fang Knight says, you don't pack lingerie unless you intend to use it, and taking it on a work trip alone has very troubling implications for what she is planning on doing away from you and with total privacy. And Dopey responds, that's my thinking. I'd never seen them before either, so she's bought them recently. Alright, so the top comments are saying that OP is not overreacting and this is definitely sketchy. He needs to talk to her. Some people are downplaying it and finding reasons as to why she would take the lingerie. So now, let's move on with the first of two updates to see what happened next. I know a lot of people wanted an update, so I thought I would share one with you. My wife returned from her work trip around lunchtime today. I work from home, so was there to greet her, and she seemed in normal spirits. She greeted me with a kiss, said her presentation went well, and asked if I wanted to grab lunch somewhere. I couldn't take not knowing any longer, so I straight up asked her why she took lingerie with her on a work trip. She looked confused and asked what I meant, and I told her that I'd noticed the lingerie in her suitcase before she left, and as it wasn't something I'd seen before and nothing like what she'd usually wear, it made no sense to me. She asked if I was implying whether she was having an affair based on sets of underwear, and I straight up told her I was. She said I was crazy and that she'd simply bought new underwear for herself, and that's what she decided to take traveling. Again, I queried why she would buy lingerie for herself when she usually just wears standard cotton underwear, and she just emphasized that I was crazy and it was just what was available in the store. She offered me her phone if I wanted to look through it. We have an open phone policy, but never had to rely on it, so I took her up on her offer. I couldn't find any messages or photos upon having a scroll, but I'm also aware that she works in tech, and her way of hiding anything could be beyond my capabilities. I said it still didn't add up, but again, she just responded that she couldn't believe I thought she was cheating based on her packing a thong. Wasn't a thong, it was 2 sets of lingerie, lady. She said she didn't want to continue this conversation and expected her husband to be welcoming after she'd just returned from a trip, not to face an interrogation. She left and went to get food herself, while I've been stuck here. I want to believe her, and she seemed confident in what she was saying. There was eye contact, she seemed surprised, and there was no suggestion that she was hiding something. But then again, I know my wife and she knows how to be confident well. Something still doesn't add up. Even if I desperately want to give her the benefit of the doubt, I've looked through her phone and found nothing there and don't want to follow her, but I feel I have no choice if I don't want to drive myself into a mental breakdown. I'm sorry, it was the only thing available at the store? What store did she go to? The we only sell lingerie store? But jokes aside, let's take up all the possible excuses that she was buying it to feel confident, that she needed it for the presentation, whatever you want. All of those arguments crumble when she says it was the only thing at the store. Because that phrase means that she went for underwear, not specific underwear. In any case, let's move on to the final update to see how this story ends. So, my wife returned at around 9 p.m. that night after I effectively accused her of cheating. Having read your comments, the first thing I did was apologize. I said I had no reason to doubt her, always loved her, and apologized for acting so irrationally and jumping to allegations of cheating based solely on new underwear. She responded that she accepted my apology, that she loved me, and that there wasn't anyone else in the world she would want to be with more. However, the next day, something seemed off. I couldn't put my finger on it, but my wife was distant and uncommunicative. When I asked her if everything was alright, she just dismissed it as work stress and that she was tired after the trip. This is common, so I didn't question it any further, and I tried to show extra affection as a means of making up for my behavior. She was still like this before she left for work on Friday, and as I've known her for 6 years, I am aware when something is bothering her. There was no difference when she came back from work, and she seemed distracted and distant. When she came into the bedroom later that night, she'd clearly been crying and told me she couldn't take it anymore and had something to share. She said that across the past few months, she had formed a very strong connection with a work colleague. At first, she thought he was just friendly, but the more they worked and spent time together, she had started to become confused about her feelings towards him. She told me that he makes her feel positive about herself, which she often needs when dealing with the stress at work. The closer they got, the more she thought something might happen between them, which is why she packed the lingerie before the trip in case it did. She then said that when they were spending the night together at an evening drinks event to celebrate the success of the work presentation, they ended up sharing a drunken kiss. They went to his hotel room, but before anything could go any further, my wife said she came to her senses and felt an immense sense of guilt. In her words, she realized that the only person she wanted to be with was me, and she knew that she didn't want to wreck our future and the possibility of starting a family together. She told him she was leaving and kept her distance for the remainder of the trip. When she got back and I questioned her, she panicked and didn't want to admit anything because it hadn't gone too far and she didn't want to lose me over a drunk kiss. However, she now felt she needed to be utterly transparent about it because the guilt was eating her up. It honestly took me a good minute or two to respond. I just felt numb. I asked her to swear that nothing else had happened, which she did. I asked to look at her phone again, and she told me that any conversations were on work software or on Telegram, which I didn't look at or wasn't on her phone previously. I read the conversations, which went from a mixture of work chat to the occasional flirting. I felt sick. I told my wife she needed to leave while I got my head straight. She begged me to listen to her and give her a chance and all the bull about how I'm the only one for her and would never ever do anything to hurt me again. Yet, I put my foot down and after half an hour or so of crying, she left to stay with her sister. I've sat here on my own since last night and I've just cried. I really, really love my wife and I want to forgive her, but it's so hard. The fact she bought the underwear and it appears premeditated rather than a spur-of-the-moment thing makes it hurt even more. My wife has texted me a few times, but I haven't responded. I have no idea what I'm going to do and don't know if I'll update this again, but thank you for all your thoughts and responses on the previous posts. Well, OP, of course, it is a sucky situation to be in, but you've got one of two options. You can choose to try to forgive her and work through it, couples counseling the works, but if you commit to that, you gotta commit. Or if it's just too much for you, the other thing is visit a lawyer, and that's it. But whatever path you choose, OP, here's wishing you the best. Take care and thanks for sharing. Now let's move on to the next post that also has an update. This post is from the subreddit Am I the A-hole, and it's by user Doghouse Rock. Am I the a-hole for speaking on behalf of my fiance's child? My fiance, 29 female, and I, 28 male, have been together for 2 years. For the most part, things are really good. She has a son, 8 male, from a previous relationship. The dad isn't involved. Together, we're our own little family unit. The issue is over the son's recent birthday party. He's having trouble in school and has been made a target. My fiance and I have both talked to the school. They give the same lip service. I suggested changing schools, but my fiance says no school's perfect. The son wanted a small birthday party, nothing major. He just wanted to spend the day with us at a park. My fiance instead made him invite his entire class and planned a big day. Not a single child came. It was just us with trays of food and a bunch of birthday decorations. Waiting was the worst part. He's had some rough days, but I've never seen him so down. He was humiliated. It bothered me, and I felt something needed to be said. My fiance and I had a talk that night, and I stated that I thought we should have listened to what the son actually wanted instead of pushing a big party. She believed that I should be supporting her and said it's not my place to interfere with matters involving her son. There was an emphasis on her son. Our talk turned into a big argument. Her comment was a blow. I realize I'm not the bio dad, but I'm the constant male figure in his life. We've grown close. I'm the one who has those serious talks with him. I'm someone he asks for advice, who drops him off at school and picks him up. I help him with homework, engages in interests, show up on outings, etc. I might not be his bio dad, but don't treat me like some uninvolved bystander. My fiancée was always popular in school. She doesn't relate. I know what it's like to be unwanted in a room. I know what it's like to hate being in the school hall. My fiancé just believes he needs to try harder to assert himself. There's still some tension between my fiancé and myself. The son has started to notice the rift and asked about it. My fiancé feels I overstepped. I feel differently. Am I the a-hole? No, OP, you're not the a-hole, and you're the one who actually stepped up. You're showing up for that boy in ways that the mother is not doing right now. Ignoring his wishes led to public pain, and you called it out with care, not cruelty. You didn't throw it in her face. And that "my son" comment was just to shut you down because she didn't like what she was hearing. You're in his life daily. Your voice does matter. Keep standing by him. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comment section, and now let's check out the community comments. Woodland Elf 90 says, not the a-hole. Your fiancé completely overlooked what her son wanted and made it worse for him. That poor child. His heart must have broken so much when no one showed up. What was she thinking? She knew what he was going through and still went ahead with her wishes. I don't care if she was popular in school. Her son is different and she needs to realize that before she pushes more of her moronic ideas on him. And I hate the fact that she used the "her son" card. What are you to them? I'm sorry, but she is completely unreasonable. If you do not get to have any opinions about her son, then why is she okay with you being a father figure to him? My opinion is that she realized that she effed up and now she's trying to save face. And that sucks because she is proving to be quite immature. She should have accepted the fact that she was in the wrong instead of challenging your position in the boy's life. That poor boy, I feel so bad for him. East Parking 8340 says, it's funny, isn't it? Her child, her rules, and yet you're expected to undertake parental activities and provide parental financial support. She cannot have it both ways. She really doesn't want to put her child first to ensure that he doesn't end up a statistic of some sort. Such a silly woman. Are you planning to have children with her? If you are, how will that work? Will she expect you to treat him to the same things you treat your own children, or will he be segregated? I suspect it's time for the discussion, not the a-hole. And Mimcat3 says, not the a-hole. By inviting the class, I hope she's aware that she just opened her son up for more ridicule and tormenting. Everyone will know that nobody came. I don't know what she is thinking. You have every right to speak up for him, and she should be thankful that you want to. Yes, this very well may be because she was popular and her son isn't, and she doesn't ask. And Opie responds, she talks about how she had the big birthday parties and how her house was the house and all this stuff her and her friends did. I try to get her to see that his experience is different from hers. The parties and stuff are what she wanted. It's not what he wants. Dropping him off at school that day, knowing he was going to have to face those kids after getting ghosted, was particularly rough. I don't think she relates to the struggle and feels if he tries harder, everything will click in place. I don't think he needs to try any harder. He's a good kid and considers others. The community agrees Opie was not the a-hole. He stood up for the kid and that was the right thing to do. The fiancé is very much in the wrong here. So now let's move on to the update to see how this story ends. Thanks everyone for the input. The outside perspectives helped me, 28 male, tackle this situation with my fiancé, 29 female. Things were still rocky between us. We've had fights, but we're usually able to communicate. This issue was different. We both felt strongly about our stances with her son, 8 male. The son noticed the rift and took it as we were disappointed in him after the birthday party. I reassured him that nothing was his fault. My fiancé usually leaves these kinds of talks to me because she says that I'm better with the emotional stuff. I wasn't sorry for speaking up. He was humiliated and it happened because of him being forced into a party he never wanted. My fiancé and I arranged to talk while he was at school. She felt we needed to hash things out too. It was my hope that we could work toward a solution. We both started off apologizing for contributing to the fight and letting it drag out. I told her that I was hurt by how dismissive she was of me and how I needed to keep out of issues with the son. She's never pulled that card. She wanted me to have a presence with him. She said that she spoke out of anger and didn't mean any of it. She felt judged and took everything she was holding in out on me. I expressed that the son needed an advocate and he sometimes struggles speaking up because he wants her approval. This was something we discussed before. She admits pushing a party was wrong. She said that she loves the role I take with her son, but feels that he and I connect in a way that they don't, and that's hard for her. I tried reassuring her that she's his mom and no other bond could negate that. She's one of the only people he wanted to spend his day with. I'm here to support both of them, but that doesn't mean agreeing with her on everything. I feel chasing popularity will only be trouble as he gets older. Something that was recommended on here was therapy. I thought it would be good for us. She wasn't entirely closed to the idea. She's hesitant about the notion of therapy. The son will be changing schools. We're also looking for clubs for him. He has a talent for drawing. I'm honestly impressed every time. I'm encouraging my fiancé to embrace his creative side. I believe my fiancé means well and wants the best for the son, but I feel she has to be more receptive of what he's telling her. He may never be popular. Most kids aren't. It doesn't mean he's doing something wrong. Kids and people in general can be cruel. I even told her if she and I had gone to school together, her friends would have probably made fun of me. The son's experience is his. He'll come into his own. Overall, we did better talking instead of going at each other, which is better for everyone involved. I'm still going to speak up for the son. When I was his age, there were times I wished someone spoke up for me. Thanks again to everyone for the support. I really appreciate it. Nicely done, OP. You had a proper communication with your fiancé, and you guys came to an agreement, you compromised, and you both set your points. And now you're working on moving forward. So again, congratulations. This is awesome. Thanks for sharing, OP. Take care. And that's it for today's video. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch it. Now, if you've gotten to this point in the video, I assume that you like these stories that I'm reading out. So here are a couple more that you might enjoy. And if you don't have any time to watch another story right now, save it for later. And also, don't forget to hit that subscribe button.